what's the harm of giving away a little booklet? Stephanie, what's going on here?
Well, I mean, I think there's layers of concern here that are kind of worth unpacking. The I mean, one of the things that immediately comes to mind for me is that this is our national library that has produced a document that is being sort of shared as part of one of kind of a number of aspects of sort of professional development that public servants might receive. So this is actually something that we've been working on for a couple of months now in different ways. There's been different issues brought to our attention about different professional development opportunities that public servants might have access to. And this is just another one that's sort of come up to our attention. So this is something that as part of treaty training, public servants may kind of go through this He Tohu tour, which is part of the National Library. Um, this is one of a number of different professional development things, as I say. So a concern here is that our public service really is, and this is in the public service principles themselves, is supposed to be politically neutral, where this is providing, I would say, a line of professional development that is sort of threatens that principle, I would say, because this is not, I would say, a neutral document. So when it first came to our attention that this was being sort of given out as part of this tour, we looked into it and we saw a few red flags. And so what we've actually done is we've asked Professor Paul Moon to have a look at it, because he is obviously one of the preeminent scholars in the country about the Treaty of Waitangi, which is the topic of this document, and just to get his sort of expert opinion on whether he thought that this was sort of an appropriate sort of resource to be giving out, and also whether it was a factually accurate kind of document to be giving out. And I think in both of those ways there is cause for concern. So I might just read you one sentence as an
Okay, that would
example
be
of
helpful.
the
Yeah.
of the breakdown that he's given us. So
Mm-hmm.
he has said that it is comprised of certain historical assertions that are indicative variously of errors in fact, misrepresentation, errors of omission, errors in historiography, ideological distortion, presentism, the rendition of subjective interpretations and opinions as objective material, and patterns of bias.
Mm.
So there is plenty there to be concerned about. And doubly concerning, I think, that this comes from our National Library, which is supposed to be our kind of repository
Mm.
of factual
Mm.
information. And the fact that it seems as though some of these factual elements of really important history for us in our
Mm.
nation, I think, are there are distortions there, there are inaccuracies there, and I think the way that it's presented as well, there are reasons to think that it might close down future conversation about aspects of this past that I think are really important to be having.
I mean, this is such an interesting conversation, and there's parts of me that want to delve deep into what's actually in this document, but I wonder, just in terms of what you, as the Free Speech Union or the public, may do in terms of saying, actually, hang on, this isn't right, or you feel that it isn't right. So perhaps could you look at readjusting the document? I mean, is this something that you now go and do, or what's the process from here on in?
Well, this is something that we're sort of still in the process of working out exactly like what the kind of response is going
Mm,
to look like. It's sort of this is like heard it here first kind of situation where
right. Okay.
this isn't even something that we've communicated yet to our members. But I think this is something that needs to be talked about because, as I said earlier, that one of the public service principles is actually political neutrality, and I think this really brings that into question. It also, I think, one of the things that I was thinking as I was reading it through was, if I was a public servant, what capacity would I have to ask questions about this document, or say, hey, I actually think that, like I thought that this was the perspective on this thing, or, um, what capacity do I have to do that? And I think it really closes down the ability for anyone to ask questions in this way. And I should just mention that it's not only public servants that would be
Mm,
being kind of interacting with this. It is also something that's provided, like you can do school tours, you can do group tours. So it's not just public servants who would be engaging with this. But I think from a public service perspective, it is cause for concern. Yeah.
Mm. So, I mean, I guess my question now would be, aside from your concerns, that you've just outlined, what else are some of the dangers, or what are some of the red flags for you when it comes to a document like this? Do you think it, once out there, means that for even future generations, there's even further misunderstandings around our history?
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is really in the fact that this is important history, and it is stuff that we need to be able to talk about. And I think that this a problem here is that this closes down the ability to talk about it, I would say. So maybe just going into one of the elements that
Mm,
we think about it that is concerning is there's a statement in the document that says the treaty or te tiriti is a sacred covenant between Māori signatories and the Crown. Now, this I would say is very much a subjective claim, but it's being asserted as a statement of reality or a statement of fact. And when it's kind of framed in that way, it really closes down the ability to actually have a conversation about, what was the status of this document? What did different perspectives understand to be, you know, the significance of it? It's very hard to have that conversation when you have, you know, I guess sort of like a body of authority like the National
mm,
Library saying this is the case that it was this way, and then this is what we might be receiving it as, as a public servant. If I'm receiving this as um, professional development, what is my ability to say, well, I understood that it held this different kind of interpretation. It closes down dialogue in that way and closes down the opportunity to have the really important conversation, because it's
mm,
just saying this is the way that it is, full stop, done.
mm.
Yeah.
All the best with what you guys do in the future with this, and I know you're saying take it to your members, and then you'll go from there. But Free Speech Union, you're out and about at the moment, and in fact, you're going to be heading to a conference later this week. Can you tell us about this and how
Yeah.
teachers can get involved with, or at least find out a bit more about what you guys do?
Well, I think two different things there. So the conference is happening between Thursday and Friday of this week. So that's
Mm-hmm.
the New Zealand Association of Christian Schools conference, obviously happening up here in Auckland. And yeah, we'll just really encourage people to come along to that, especially people who are kind of interested and involved in education. Our team, or at least some of our team, will be there, and yeah, would be really happy to see members of the Rhema community and kind of connect in that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, go and say hi,
And
right?
obviously, us in general, our work through our website, just fsu.nz.
Okay, fsu.nz if you want to find out about that, I'm guessing, or any of the other work that you guys do. Is that correct?
Yes, everything's on there. Yeah, and our
Wonderful.
socials too. Yeah.
Hey, Stephanie, thank you so much for being with us this morning. Really appreciate your insights and the work that you guys do in the area of free speech. Thanks again.
Thanks so much for having me, Di.